or where a lot of the attacks where in the old Dark Souls it'd be you just basically roll as fast as you can. Like when the first, attack hits, it's like you just keep moving, keep doing your moves as fast as you can to dodge. And this one's like deliberately going, okay, if it's like 1 second, it's like 1.25 seconds between attacks, just enough so if you roll constantly, you get caught by the last attack or two. Yeah, 100% it felt like that's like, okay, like, and I get it. Like 100% it punishes you for button mashing, where it's just like you don't know what it's gonna do, so you just start mashing it. So it's very deliberately like trying to get you to do like an off rhythm. So for like the musician equivalent, to be like if every other note was a half note kind of thing. It's like, okay, that's fine, but it means having played so many Dark Souls games and like you get trained into certain things to expect, and then like you note the one boss that's got that trolley timing. How are we doing at hunting knives? Alright, we got 14. We're good on hunting. Like you'll have in the other Dark Souls games, you'll have like the one boss who will have different timing than all the others. Like that's the thing that everyone talked about the dancer in Dark Souls 3. Like apparently that boss just absolutely gave people hell. Because instead of like being like on a 4-4 timing is on a, I think it's 1-3 timing, or 1-4 timing is on 1-3 timing, which is a musician's thing. And I'm probably misquoting it because it's been too long. But its timing is just very deliberately slightly different. And so after you've got yourself in that muscle rhythm the entire game of like, okay, here's the base timing for everything, and I just need to note the one or two attacks, like the one attack that launches a bit faster or is a bit slower. It's just Dancer's like every single one of its attacks is just a like it was its own timing that was fair and all that, but it was a different timing than you ran into the entire rest of the game. So that muscle memory was actively working against you while fighting Dancer. But this game, it feels like the entire game is just trying to troll you with timing. Like, weirdly with Dancer, it's slow down. Oh, right. 1 second. Got a Steam thing over my screen. I forgot to switch it back. That was because we had a helicopter event right at the start of the stream. Yeah, and that was, we changed the objective because literally when we started to stream, I drove the car about halfway down towards town, and it was like air activity detected. I'm like, alright, apparently this is the way we're starting this stream. Just. Like you start your stream, and it takes a little bit before people show up. Like I made the comment a couple of times that usually like the first 20-30 minutes of stream, it takes just that little bit to get up to, 20-30 people, and then, the stream generally gains momentum as the night goes on. But we only had like 5 people in the stream when the air activity detected message came up. I'm like, alright, well I guess we're just gonna have a handful of people doing the prediction. I did end the prediction, right? Like, I'm now saying my guess myself. I'm gonna check in a moment. Because we absolutely survived. But I'm gonna double check to make sure we actually ended. I'm pretty sure we did. Choose outcome. Yes, we did survive. I did not. So, sorry for the super delayed, end of that. Yeah, we did see the, we did survive. Yeah, that's the thing, like, there's so few people here, it's actually particularly putting out the names of who specifically won points because of just how few people were bidding on it. I think we maybe had 3 or 4 people tops who actually bid on it. Yeah, it's just become a gag I've been trying to do, and I do remember, and it's not always, that when the helicopter shows up, we change the objective to survive. It's just, I think it was Call of Duty was, I mean, a number of games have done it since, and I think Call of Duty was the first one I recall doing that. But they have, like, the list of all your objectives, and they'll be like, oh, you need to get this point, you need to capture that thing, you need to go over here, you need to get the next thing, like, they'll do that type of thing. And they just had a mission where it's like, you take the beach, you get on the cliff, you start like taking the bunkers and all that, and then it's the enemy army shows up in like overwhelming force, it just goes survive. And then it's just that they specifically make it so like effectively story-wise beat you back to the shore where you have no more retreat. Let's see. A nice bet would be if you find a katana or machete within the next 2 days. So, I mean, honestly, a lot of my deaths have been to the helicopter event. Just make a poor judgment call, that kind of thing. Usually it's where I decide to fight the zombies that is the poor judgment call that gets me killed. They'll be like, oh, I fight over here, and then realize the area doesn't have nearly as much of an open area to work with as I thought. And then just between obscured vision and everything else becomes dangerous. But you're not wrong. What I could do, thank you the follow, Pat's Kowski, 1234, welcome to the stream. What I could do, actually, for the prediction is instead of, like, the next 2-3 days, because I don't feel like that's long enough, you do get katanas a bit more rarely than that, is do we find a katana by the next helicopter or end of stream, whichever is first, because we don't always know. I think that's a good prediction. I think I'm actually going to do it, and I can put that up for a while. That is not what I wanted. Did I use... What am I doing? What's happening? I used the wrong slash. So I'm going to start prediction. Don't have enough characters. It's only 45 characters. And that's 50, so I gotta lose 5 characters. Instead of before, I can use by. So now I'm down to 1 character too many. And O stream. I'm doing it. No. And I'm going to put that up for a full 30 minutes. Because what we'll do from now on with that is when the helicopter shows up, I'll do the helicopter event. Like, we'll put that prediction up. And I'll consider the helicopter having shown up the moment we see air activity detected, we hear it, whatever. Like, the moment we would start the next helicopter prediction, that's when we'll end this prediction. Or, again, end a stream. I also feel like this is a, more of a gamble. Because RNG could absolutely be favorable and just give it to us. But we've actually had really good luck with katanas today. So you can take that as in we burnt up our good luck and there's none left, so I shouldn't see any more. Or it's just, it's a good luck kind of day and we're going to see a bunch more. Who knows? RNG be that way. But I am going to make a katana specifically just because machetes are easy to mistake as bread knives while you're fighting giant hordes. And I don't want people going, you're deliberately not picking up the machetes and finding them. Or whatever. And then plus, if it's a machete or a katana, there's a much, much higher chance of success versus just the katana. Because we've gone entire streams where we haven't seen a single katana, then we've had other streams where we've seen like 5 of them. Or I think 4 might actually be the most we've seen on a single stream. Yeah, so I have that up for a full half hour. If we do run into a situation where I find a katana, like, while the prediction timer's still up, I don't know, 3 points, I guess, for anyone who bids. Because I don't think, like, I know I can cancel it, but I wouldn't want to do that. We'll just consider it like RNG being a particularly generous. Oh, I should have refilled my water while we were there. That's okay. Because I still do have my reserve bottle. That is one reason I do always carry more than one bottle of water as soon as I get more than one bottle of water. And I always keep the second bottle outside of my main inventory. Yeah, I didn't alt tab out of the game once, but it doesn't like there's a lot of games that do not handle alt tabbing well. And it wouldn't surprise me that a FromSoft game has problems with that, because FromSoft is notorious about their games being like completely designed with console in mind, and then the PC is almost the afterthought. That's probably being a bit too harsh about it, but that's absolutely the way it feels. And I mean, at least with their old titles, that was 100% true. And if you ever need a case in point, Diablo 1 on PC, the original, not Diablo 1, that's Blizzard, Dark Souls 1 on PC, were just for stuff to work. You had to download a mod called DSFix just to get things working correctly. Like, the multiplayer was non-functional if you didn't have DXFix for most people. And they never did actually fix it. Like, that mod ran for years. And, like, one of the big complaints that I personally agree with is when the remaster for Dark Souls 1 came out, is basically like, okay, you loaded DSFix. Oh, interesting, Fenrir. Everyone, like, I was trying to play with multiple different sets of groups of friends, and we all had to get DSFix just for it to work. And, like, was it... I think it may have been mine. There was Cosmin Art. We couldn't even get the game to run. Like, it had some type of graphics problem that didn't even run until I got DSFix. I didn't have any problems with ladders. Interesting. I mean, but ultimately, you looked at the Dark Souls 1 remaster, and that's kind of like, it's like, okay, you made the game, and then you added DXFix to it. Like, not literally they added the mod, but they, like, went and did the stuff it did to fix the game. Like, fix the multiplayer queuing, that kind of thing. Fix the textures that get broken, that kind of stuff. Oh, weird. I hadn't heard that. But yeah, no, I had a group of 3 friends I played Dark Souls 1 with. I did a solo run through the whole... Actually, I did like 2 solo runs through the whole thing. Or actually, how many? Because I got all the achievements. So I absolutely went and I played through those games multiple times. Because usually most of them, they'll have like one where you go with whatever the story is, one where you go directly against whatever the story is. They'll give you some kind of decision in that regard. And then there'll be like one hidden one that you have to do a bunch of extra stuff or some other side thing just to do it. Like, usually to get those, you end up needing to, like, pull up a wiki or whatever, because so much of the solutions on that is super cryptic, or you have to find this, like, hidden summoning sign buried behind a corner, summon the thing, kill the boss without the spirit dying, that kind of thing. And if you scuff it, it's just, you know, it's permanently messed up. Like, I can't remember which of the Dark Souls, I want to say it was 3, or it was either 3 or 1, it wasn't 2. That you had to do that stuff where you had to get a summon spirit through the boss alive, and if the summon spirit died, even if you died, you've already failed it. Like, it was one of those things that's like a hard failure, and Dark Souls saves constantly, so you can't just undo mistakes. They're there. You'd have to full on like do, you know, where you back up a save and everything. And so it was one of those things, is the moment you saw the character like about to die, you need to like Alt F4 the game just to stop it. And you had to do it before like the animation got to a certain point of them dying, because then it was just too late. Because I remember definitely sitting there a couple of times where the character was like, I didn't let them die, but they got to that point where they were going again like 1 or 2 hits from death. It's like, okay, very clearly we're gonna fail this one. Like this person's gonna just eat it here in a minute. So, you know, just pause and exit out before they die, reload, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I played it through and pretty much every one of us had to get DS fixed. That's just it. I think what happened with them porting that over for PC is they just kind of they took the what was it, the PlayStation version, and they did whatever they had to get the application to run at all on PC, just whatever, like repackaged it or whatever. And nothing more than that. And then they probably just ran it on whatever computers they had, which are usually standardized in companies where it's like everyone's running the same thing unless there's a reason not to. Because FromSoft at that point didn't really do any meaningful amount of PC games. They probably got working on those components, and so anyone running something close to what they had or directly compatible with what they had no problem, would be my guess. But anyone running anything different, like different manufacturer for processor or video card or something, probably had hell. Right now, I have a machete. Which is one of the best weapons for getting one-shotting in the game. Not like almost any weapon that, like, or I should say this, almost any category of weapon does reach the point where you'll start one-shotting with a fair amount of reliability around 8, 9, or 10. But there are some weapons that have a much, much better of one-shotting at lower skill levels, and the long blades, all of them, are that way, where you'll start one-shotting stuff pretty reliably at like 4, maybe 5. You'll almost do nothing but one-shots for the most part, you know, barring you're exerted or tired or anything else that penalizes damage. That said, the big negative of long blades is they're super rare. And the katana, which, like, there's only 2 of them, there's the machete and the katana. The katana cannot be repaired either, so it's, you get it, you use it, you have a good time, and then you're done with it. Whereas the machete you can repair with duct tape. So, we have so many machetes because I took all the machetes we've collected so far that we haven't already repaired a number of times, and I went and patched them all up. That said, I believe we're over halfway through. I think I grabbed something like 11 or 13 of them, and I chucked them in the back of the truck except for 2. I do believe we're starting to get low on the supply, as it were. Which, for the record, I do feel like right now in the game of Project Zomboid, the weapons are actually in a really good place for the most part. I do personally feel like spears could use teeny tiny tweak down, not a big one, little teeny tiny one, like either knock the attack speed down just a smidge, or increase the stamina use of spears just a smidge. Like no sweeping 10-15% penalties or anything like that. That would ruin them. But just a smidge. Because I do like that right now spears are a high investment in the sense of you have to skill up to them kind of thing. You have to get your maintenance up and your spears up to make them that good. But that they do thrash seriously well. But I do feel like right now they are a bit overtuned. Whereas everything else feels like they're kind of within a reasonable ballpark of each other, where each has kind of their niche of where they shine. So, like, for example, axes very reliably one-shot, but they're absolutely, like, stamina hogs, so you can absolutely destroy zombies but you have to stop and take breaks a lot more frequently than other weapons. Short blunt weapons are your all-rounders. They're good at everything, not great at anything. So those like that is a great place to be, having no real negatives. A long blunt tend to be also a bit heavy on the stamina usage, but tend to be better about durability than a lot of the other weapons. Well, it depends on them. I haven't really figured out long blunt, like, where specifically I feel like they shine. Like, they do knockdowns way more than the other weapons, but I guess that's not as meaningful to me in combat, because I would rather just die instead of falling down. I mean, I guess they kill zombies without damaging their clothes, but that seems like a pretty niche thing to be concerned about. Alright, let's get over here. Because I'd like to start killing the zombies over here where I'm away from the giant pile of corpses. Try to avoid getting queasy as long as possible. Alright. We're being forced back this way because I do want to fight with the zombies on one side of me. When you are seeing me fight and going, why does my character not do that? Keep in mind, this character, while they did start as like zero hero build where they're terrible at everything when we started, that's been a long time ago. We've gotten fairly stacked at this point. Yeah, I mean, the crowbar specifically, its durability is amazing. That's the crowbar specifically. It's not a attribute I'd say is shared with a lot of other weapons. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of long blunt weapons that are very effective weapons. Like, I like the garden hoe a lot. It's pretty good. The baseball bat is solid. But, like, the crowbar is kind of its own special category of just having absurd durability. I was trying to think thematically, what is the thing that long blunt brings to the table that it does better than the other stuff? Like, it's good. Like, that's the thing I want to make clear. Long blunt weapons are good, but I can't think of, like, what is, like, this is where they shine. They're just, like, generically good. Because, like, they're not amazing stamina usage, they're not amazing damage, they're not amazing crit, because that's what axes are. They're not, like, super common, they're not rare. But I wouldn't say they have as much, like, whereas saying the short blunt is just good at everything. Like, I would actually say long blunt weapons are only okay-ish with stamina. There are some places that they don't do as well. But I mean, they're good. Like, they're solid choice. Like, if you chose long blunt weapons, it's not like, oh, you've chosen poorly. No, they're fine. Short blade, their magic is they're fast. And they use a very negligible amount of stamina. To the point I use them to recover stamina when I'm in long-term fights. As evidenced by me switching to the short blade, and then recovering back from moderate exertion to no exertion. Yeah, I could see that, and I mean, this is something I've never checked into, and I probably should. So, like, if a zombie is wearing a bulletproof vest, like, does that actually give the zombie more defense, or is it not really? I don't think it does. But I never really, like, tested it. Yeah, so, like, long blunt is something that breaks armor or whatever, kind of meaningless. They do have the higher rate of knockdown, that I agree. And maybe it's just I personally dismiss how valuable knockdown is, or maybe knockdown isn't as meaningful in most cases. Who knows? Yeah. So like short blade, the idea is I can fight these zombies for basically ever until we're either sleepy, we run out of zombies to kill, or I mess up and I die. But like I will not run out of endurance. Like I will just keep on going. And that's the magic of short blade. That's their shine spot. Like really the only time you'll see people where like short blade, you know, such a super powerful thing is when you're going, okay, I need to fight 200 zombies. All right, break out the short blades, because you're not doing that with an axe. Your character will be ready to just absolutely collapse on themselves by the time you're done. Like you start that fight and you keep finding gaps to like rest or whatever. Or you have to bail and sit in your car, that kind of thing. Which is fine. Axes are very solid weapons. It's just endurance battles, you know, war of attrition kind of thing isn't their strong suit. Oh, hi all of you. I'm just gonna bully my way through here, don't mind me. We actually managed to get ourselves back into moderate exertion. Probably thanks to that push. Unfortunately, push does take a decent amount of stamina. And the bummer with that is, without exertion, it's 2, sometimes 3 hits for me to kill a zombie. With exertion, it's closer to 4. Which sucks, because it means more hits, which means more exertion and fatigue, or more burning your endurance and fatigue. And the reason the screen is entirely black behind us is we've gone far enough that our character hasn't seen in this direction a long time. So the idea is our character doesn't know what's behind us. So that's why it's all dark. If I turn around, it'll light up and it'll stay lit up when we turn back around. But I'd rather stab zombie. I don't like when he push. That uses more stamina. Oh yeah, like early, so that's the catch-22. So if you're talking low pop, like using stuff like the red axe, fantastic. Because like you were just going to absolutely brutalize some zombies. But the issue is you're dealing with anything but lower populations, it's very difficult to use that, especially early game. And the reason for it is because, sure, you're going to absolutely demolish the first few zombies you see. but you have to find gaps to recover your stamina. So a lot of it also plays into what stats you take. If you take a very high fitness, high strength build, you can get away with a lot more. If you're lower fitness, lower strength build, it just makes those weapons harder and harder to use meaningfully. And again, that's not to say it's bad. The axe is a very solid weapon choice. Like, I personally would say the meta, if you're talking about leveled up characters, is probably spears. But axe is a reasonable contender for that spot. But just the same, I personally would say there isn't a... Like, I've had people say it's like, this is the meta. I'm like, well, this is the meta in these circumstances. Now, in these other circumstances, it's terrible. So, I do appreciate that this game actually doesn't have a hard meta. Like, if we were talking about, okay, you're in a, you know, you're forced to fight 200 zombies with no room for breaks, then knives would be the meta. Oh yeah, and it's totally fine to be it's totally fine to be like, I know this weapon is good, but I don't like it. That's where I'm at with axes. I respect that axes are very good weapons. But the stamina usage is just too much for me. So let's see. As far as I know, let's see. The high damage of the red axe early on is so nice. With a few levels, it starts one-shotting consistently, and when you reach 8, 9, 10 axes, you swap to the hand axe, which is again, one-shots for way less stamina. You are correct with all that. Yeah, you need to be careful on your pulls and plan the rest is in between. Yes. Yep. And Xanor saying, I hate spears. That super fast attack speed is so unrealistic for me to play. Right, and that's the thing I was saying is I personally feel that, one, I like the spears that are kind of like they're a chase weapon in the sense that you have to build up a certain amount before you can like start really causing mayhem with spears. Like until you've got your maintenance skill up, the spear just crumbles in your hands in no time. And getting your maintenance up with a spear is very difficult. You're going to destroy a hell of a lot of spears. I believe you also need to build up your carpentry so when you make the spears are of higher quality. And so it's just, there's a lot that goes into getting spears off the ground. Okay. We're just gonna take these for a minute. Because I'm gonna need to clear my vehicle. That's gonna be a thing. So I personally would like to see the spears take a little hit, but for me, the things I would probably hit is just lowering the attack speed a smidge, and or increasing the stamina use a bit. I think either of those would achieve the same goal of that. You know, you can glass cannon, but you run out of steam real fast. Like either you run out of steam real fast, or you just can't attack fast enough to just delete hordes. Like they would still be very strong in that state. I was really hoping we would get rid of the fatigue, but I guess not. I should say the exertion. Hey, Galich, how's it going? Gotcha. Yep. Always a fan of some good old weekend smashing zombie. Yeah, where people commented earlier that said there's an entirely obnoxious number of zombies around the prison. I'm having feelings that with all the helicopters we've had here, all these zombies that we're having show up when the town looked not clear, we were nowhere near clear, but it didn't seem like it had that heavy of a presence. I'm feeling we've been drawing the zombies like out of the surrounding woods, where that prison is, like that kind of thing. And that's where all these zombies are coming from. Okay. Xander would say, I'd like to see each category have unique in their own way, like spear, multi-hit, 2+ target, consumes 2 times stamina. I could see something like that. I do feel that, like, spears have their niche. Like, the thing with spears is they are the glass cannon thing, where they're high damage, high speed, high range. Like, they're good and all those things, but their durability is just non-existent. So if you're going to do work with spears, you've got to carry around, like, 6 or 7 of them just to kill enough zombies to make it worth your while, kind of thing. Like, so I do actually feel like spears do have an identity in the game. They're your glass cannon build. Axes are, I'm going to wreck house on this zombie's face right here, individually, right now. And then their consequence is stamina. Hunting knives, like, well, I should say short blades. Their big plus is just the lack of stamina use that's meaningful. But the consequence is their range is crap, and then their damage isn't exactly awe-inspiring. So they're like the endurance, the war of attrition weapon. And as I mentioned, short blunt is just, they're the all-arounder. Good-ish at everything, but not great at anything, which is pretty great. Because almost all the other weapon categories have some flaw or weakness or something, as it were. Yeah, no, and that's 100% the drawback of spears, is by design, they have super terrible durability in the game. So that's their weakness. But I do feel like all other weapon categories have a weakness, and granted, once you level it up, the weaknesses become more and more nuanced, but at the early phase, the weaknesses are super apparent. That said, like, I do feel like the weapons, so far as balanced to each other, are in a pretty good place, with the exception of I do feel like spears are just that teeny tiny bit stronger than they should be. Like, I want them to still have that glass cannon-y niche, but it's just, they feel like a little too strong at the moment. Just the teeniest tiniest sliver down. Like, if you just lowered the attack speed like, 5% or so, that would be very significant. Increase the stamina usage just a hair, that would be significant. And that's probably like all the more tweak you need. Because that'd just be enough that you would have other weapons that are faster than them, so that would be their amazing spot. Like, because the fact that they have range damage and speed, that they're good at all of those things, and some of the best at all of those things, that's like, alright, gotta take something away. That said, I do wish they changed the execution animation on spears to have a bit more padding than it does now. Because it's never gotten me hurt or killed, but it's definitely put me in a place where I was like, gritting my teeth going, yep, this is it. Like, I'll finally be gotten by this execution animation. Like, I almost wish it was the same as what knives are. Knives, if you have a zombie aggroed on you, you know, with some very rare exceptions, you won't execution animation, period. I wish spears are the same way. They can only have one zombie following you around to execute, otherwise you'll just use regular attacks. Because to me, animation mechanics situations are not a good thing to have as like the negative of a weapon. It's just fighting the animations. Alright, I need to remember this time when we get to this boot camp that I actually do take a moment to stop and refill our water. Because we will run out of water this coming day otherwise. We're really good on food still, so I shouldn't have to worry about backing out still. Xander, I can't remember which stream I was watching. He is going for 1 million kills, nearly spears only, and he's getting exerted and doesn't really care. He was continuing to kill his spears since they one-shot, even at high exertion, and he was going through on his daily spree with a stack of 10 spears. Yeah, that'd be Mr. Lamprey UK. And I'll actually drop a shout-out because it's Mr. underscore Lamprey UK, I believe. I don't know if that's right. It is right. Excellent. Yep. Yeah, he tunes in here regularly to hang out, and I try and hop in over there as well when we're not overlapping our stream times kind of thing. But I kind of appreciate his stream specifically because it's kind of like, in a lot of ways, we're doing the same thing so far as the outcome, but very different, not only approaches, but very different specifics around it kind of deal. Get that hydrate in a second. Because, like, you know, as you mentioned, he's going hard on the spears. But, I mean, he also has to kind to, like, not necessarily completely, but has to kind of lean in on that with what he's doing. Because, like, you think, I'm getting really close to the end of my first year in game, and we're only at 52,000 kills. If he's going for 10 years to hit 1 million, he's going to have to potentially, like, lean in on being able to use whatever he can kill the fastest with. And me and him have had the discussion a number of times on stream about which of our two weapon choices, because, you know, I'm known for the short blades. Like, which of our two weapons do we think ultimately, if I'm dealing with like ideal situations, so, you know, 10 strength, 10 fitness, 10 of the appropriate weapon type, 10 maintenance, and you're just going hard with your weapon, which would outperform which? The short blades or the spears? Xander says, he is around 400, 500 kills max a day, but he is at only 1 hour days. I'm also at only 1 hour days? Oh, right, we took a bunch of vitamins. So, we're going to take a sleeping tablet and go back to bed, because I'm not skulking about the woods in the dark. But yeah. So, we have the same day length, but, what I would anticipate ultimately it being is if we're taking consideration the use of vitamins to stave off sleep, I believe the hunt or the short blades would win by a fair margin. And the reason for that is, while the spears 100%, if we both like went off the start line and just started killing as fast as we could, he would take a huge lead on me, because the spears absolutely kill faster than the short blades. But you get to that point when you start getting to like past high exertion, that you do eventually hit a point that your exertion becomes a very serious problem. And then recovering from like high exertion and all that to back to a point you can start fighting reliably again means a lot of resting. Versus if I'm just going short blades from the beginning,